Good morning, this is Kelloland on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
We've learned that the man killed in a shooting in Vermilion earlier this week has a history of violence.
Police say 38-year-old Chase Kinchin entered a home armed with a handgun Tuesday night and fired his weapon at a guest in the house. The guest then returned fire, killing Kinchin. The woman who lives in the house took out a protection order against Kinchin just last week.
Earlier this year, Kinchin pleaded guilty to domestic abuse and disorderly conduct from an incident involving the woman back in November.
As part of National Police Week, Senator John Thune took time on the Senate floor to pay tribute to fallen Moody County Deputy Ken Prorock.
He heard a call for help, and he went to answer it, knowing full well that he could be placing himself in danger, up to and including the loss of his life. But he went anyway. That, Mr. President, is the heroism of Chief Deputy Prorock. And it is the heroism of all the men and women across our country who serve in our nation's police forces and who, when they hear a call for help, go out to answer it.
Prorock was killed in February after being struck by a car being pursued by the Madison Police Department while he was deploying spike strips. Members of the Pennington County Sheriff's Office were also in Washington, D.C. to honor a former colleague. Deputy Aubrey Ballard and Sergeant Anthony White attended a ceremony to remember former Pennington County Deputy Katie Lysing, who was killed in the line of duty in Wisconsin.
We have an update on the Sioux Falls barber who was hoping to get an exemption to keep his barbershop business open on Minnesota Avenue, but his request has been denied. Michael Specht cut hair for 38 years in Illinois with his barber's license. He also got a cosmetology license there. But he says South Dakota won't recognize his barber's license because the school he attended has since closed. Now he's installing this portable shampoo bowl, something the state requires in a salon.
The inspectors came in back last year in September, and they said that would work if it was secured to the sink.
Specht plans to bolt it down over his sink. He's hoping that'll be enough to keep his business running. His temporary license expires at the end of May. Now let's check in with meteorologist Scott Munt. Going to be a hot one out there today, Scott.
We are looking at those temperatures range anywhere from 85 to near 90 degrees for today. We'll go with mostly sunny skies, a little breezy with that south wind on the increase, around 15, maybe 20 miles per hour, and occasional higher gust. Just remember to water those flowers, especially during the morning hours if you just planted those last week. And then we do have some storms coming. This will happen late afternoon and into the evening hours. We'll have to watch western and northern Keloland for developing thunderstorms, some which may become strong to severe, contain some strong wind gusts, and we do have that slight risk for severe weather north central and the northwestern South Dakota. Forecast in the meantime today showing highs in the 80s to near 90 degrees. More details on the forecast with Brian coming up.
Thank you, Scott. The first bike night of the season took place Wednesday night at the Red Rock Bar and Grill. Organizers say nearly 1,000 people showed up for a relaxing night of food, friends, and fundraising. Now in its 10th year, Bike Night has raised nearly $200,000 for the Children's Home Society. One biker we talked with says it's a great way to relax in the middle of the work week and raise money for a good cause.
Well, it is part of freedom and wind therapy, and motorcycle's a spirit where you get on the road. There's a sense of individualism and distance, and you can ride your motorcycles 5 to 6 months a year, no problem, in South Dakota, and we love to ride.
Bike Night will continue every Wednesday night through the summer.
A University of South Dakota athlete is headed to this year's U.S. Olympic trials. Salem, South Dakota native J.C. Pulse qualified in the 400-meter hurdles in a time of 56.17 seconds. Before the Olympic trials, she'll head to this year's NCAA championships that's coming up next week.
Going in, I love being able to represent South Dakota and just the small town that I'm from. It's really great to kind of have that exposure for the school and for the town that I'm from, but I'm really excited for it.
Paul says she's focused on staying healthy and making any final adjustments.
A local thrift store is gaining popularity online. 605 Thrift Heat sells vintage clothing and collectibles in the 8th and Railroad Center. The 21-year-old owner says he used social media to help promote his store.
I have over 100,000 followers, and that recently just came from moving to this new location. Since I've been in this new location, I think I've gained roughly 80,000 followers, which is amazing.
The store has a website with thousands of products. We've included a link to that with this story right here on KELOLAND.com. And that's a look at some of our top stories.
Now let's get one last look at your weather with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Brian?
All right, watching your weather here for tonight and this evening. You can see a severe weather risk map including northwestern and north central South Dakota, and that includes Mobridge and Buffalo. And again, the main risk here is some locally damaging winds. Just to give you kind of a snapshot of what this thing could produce tonight, let's take a look at the sample on Futurecast. This is 8 o'clock. It tries to form this line of thunderstorms and these wind gusts, the strongest ones coming in probably locally 60 to 70. And there's a couple hot spots there, both east of Rapid City and also just a little west of Mobridge. Now, as that line of wind comes into the forecast, again, it's going to probably affect Mobridge and Aberdeen at some point too later this evening. You can see ahead of that, we are in the 80s today and probably a couple of 90s showing up around Yankton, Mitchell, and Chamberlain. So a hot afternoon. There are those storm cells right there north of Spearfish by 4 o'clock. And then see how they start moving east. And there's a big drop in the temperature right behind the line of thunderstorms too. So that's kind of the feature I would say is probably going to grab most of our attention this evening. And then there's Gettysburg and eventually over toward Aberdeen. It might hit Aberdeen after 10 o'clock tonight. But sure, the wind could be at least at a warning level. Severe thunderstorm warning level would be 58. So I think we can probably get that in a few of those storm cells. Now, the general wind behind this front will get quite gusty. Rapid City, 30 to 55 miles per hour late this evening. Sioux Falls could have a brief time where tomorrow morning we're at least 30 to 40, but then I think we'll idle into the 15 to 30 mile an hour range most of Saturday. We're going to cut the highs back into the upper 60s and low 70s across much of South Dakota. Northwest Iowa may be just a little bit warmer than that. And then our forecast into Sunday will start to feature more showers and storms. We'll get to that here in a second. Let's recap this wind forecast. And I want to point out a sample number out of Mobridge. See that? The wind at 61. Maybe. It's going to be close to that. I think that type of a number not too far-fetched around that Mobridge area. If you kind of draw a 30-mile radius around Mobridge, I would expect there's a high probability we'll get some thunderstorms through there. Aberdeen kind of follows the same line of thinking. It's just a little later in the evening, probably after 10 o'clock. There's your Rapid City wind. That's the general wind at maybe 50 plus. After midnight, then that rolls east through Chamberlain and Mitchell and eventually Yankton, Sioux Falls by early tomorrow morning, and then it's just a general wind out of the northwest during the day tomorrow. One last thought here on the forecast. We're going to get into Sunday. We've got more thunderstorms in the outlook as we get into the last half of the weekend. A lot of that's going to target the southeast. There probably will be some severe weather with that in Nebraska. We'll see if that nudges into southeast South Dakota. But the rain chance is pretty good. Sioux Falls, right now, it's 70% chances of showers and thunderstorms. So if you got to pick a day there to cut the grass this weekend, at least in the Sioux Falls area, I would definitely favor Saturday on that. Next week looks unsettled. We could see more rain chances either late Monday into Tuesday. That sounds like looking right now a little better shot at rain, and maybe another system by Thursday. And overall, the temperatures are cooling down in the 60s at times. Aberdeen will see that Tuesday, Wednesday. Even for Pierre and Rapid City, a decline on the numbers. I would say the Black Hills, we could be stuck in the 50s by Monday and Tuesday. Check out more details on the complete forecast at KELOLAND.com.